The space station was bigger than anything Nari had ever seen. It stretched across the darkness like a metal city, with thousands of lights blinking along its surface. Ships of every size and shape moved around it like busy insects. Some looked like Earth vessels, smooth and white. Others were strange alien designs that hurt her eyes to look at. Nari pressed her face against the small window of the transport shuttle. She was 22 years old, and this was her first time away from Earth's solar system. Her dark hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and she wore the blue uniform of a junior researcher. In her bag were notebooks filled with drawings and notes about alien creatures. She had studied them for years, but never seen a real one. Shuttle pilot was an older man named Captain Kim. He had been making runs to this trade station for 5 years. "First time out here, kid?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Nari replied. "I'm supposed to meet the research team from the Prometheus. We're studying alien predator behavior." Captain Kim laughed. "Predators, huh? Well, you'll see plenty of those on the station. Just stick with your team and don't wander off. This place can be dangerous for humans." The shuttle docked with a soft bump. Nari gathered her things and followed Captain Kim through the airlock. The first thing that hit her was the smell. It was like nothing on Earth, a mix of metal, strange chemicals, and something else she couldn't name. The air felt thick and humid. The docking bay was enormous. Hundreds of beings moved around, loading and unloading cargo. Nari saw her first real aliens and tried not to stare. They were tall, thin creatures with blue skin and too many arms. Short, furry beings that walked on 4 legs, something that looked like a walking tree with glowing eyes. "Stay close," Captain Kim said. "Your team should be waiting at Bay 7. They walked through the crowd. Nari kept her head down, but her eyes moved constantly. She was taking mental notes of everything she saw, the way different species moved, how they interacted with each other, which ones seemed aggressive and which ones avoided conflict. At Bay 7, there was no one waiting. Captain Kim checked his communication device. "That's strange. Katie, the Prometheus team should be here by now. Maybe they got delayed," Nari said. "Kay, wait here. Don't like leaving you alone, but I have to get back to my ship. The next transport leaves in 2 hours. If your team doesn't show up, come find me at Bay 12. Nari nodded. Captain Kim left, and she found herself alone on the alien station. She decided to explore a little. The main corridor was like a street with shops and restaurants on both sides. Alien music played from hidden speakers. The sound was strange, but not unpleasant. Nari stopped at a window display showing what looked like weapons. The shop owner was a creature with gray skin and large black eyes. "Human," the alien said in broken English. "You want to buy protection? This station not safe for small ones." "I'm just looking," Nari replied politely. The alien clicked its teeth. "Humans, very new to galaxy. Very weak. Need protection or become food." Nari smiled and moved on. She had heard this before. Most aliens saw humans as fragile newcomers. They didn't know about Earth's history or how humans had survived among dangerous predators for millions of years. She continued walking and found herself in a section that smelled like a zoo. Through metal bars, she could see caged creatures. Some were clearly intelligent beings, not animals. This was a slave market. Nari felt sick, but forced herself to look. This was the dark side of galactic civilization that her professors had warned her about. She took mental notes of everything: the security systems, the guard positions, the layout of the area. Lost, little human. Nari turned around. 3 large reptilian creatures stood behind her. They wore armor and carried weapons. Their scales were dark green and their eyes were yellow. These were Vorthok, she realized. She had studied them in school. "I'm waiting for my research team," she said calmly. The largest Vorthok stepped closer. "Research team, not coming. We checked. Human. Ship had accident. All dead." Nari felt her heart stop. That's not possible. Very possible, the Vorthok said. Space is dangerous. Accidents happen all the time. The other two Vorthok moved to block her escape routes. Nari realized this was not an accident. These creatures had done something to her team.
What do you see?
"Want?" she asked. "You," the leader said. "Humans are new. Very rare, worth much money in right markets. I'm a citizen of Earth. My government will look for me." A Vorthok laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "Earth is far away. No one will look for one small human in big galaxy." Nari backed against the wall. Her mind raced through options. She could scream, but who would help her on an alien station? She could run, but the Vorthok were bigger and probably faster. She could fight, but they had weapons and armor. Instead, she did something unexpected. She smiled. "You're making a mistake," she said quietly. "What mistake?" the leader asked. "You think I'm prey?" Nari said. "But you don't know anything about humans. You don't know what we really are." Doc looked confused. Before they could react, Nari threw herself forward and rolled between the leader's legs. She came up behind him and grabbed a small cutting tool from his belt. "K." In one smooth motion, she sliced through the power cables of his armor. The armor shut down and became heavy dead weight. Vorthok stumbled and fell. His two companions raised their weapons, but Nari was already moving. She threw the cutting tool at the nearest guard's face and dove behind a cargo container. Energy blasts hit the container where she had been standing. Kari crawled along the floor, using the cargo for cover. She could hear the Vorthok shouting in their own language. "Clever little prey," the leader called out, "but you only delay the inevitable." Nari found what she was looking for. An emergency alarm button on the wall. She hit it hard. Sirens began wailing throughout the station. Security lights flashed red. Within seconds, station security arrived. They were a different alien species that looked like armored insects. The Vorthok quickly put away their weapons and stood up straight. The leader helped his fallen companion to his feet. "Just a misunderstanding," he told the security guards. "Human got lost. We were helping." The security chief looked at Nari. "Is this true, human?" Nari looked at the three Vorthok. They stared back at her with hatred in their yellow eyes. She knew they would try again later when security wasn't around. "Yes," she said. "Just a misunderstanding. Thank you for your help." The security guards left. The Vorthok leader smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Smart choice, little human. But you cannot hide forever." "I'm not hiding," Nari said. "I'm just getting started." The Vorthok left, but she knew they would be watching her. She had bought herself time, but not safety. She needed to find a way off the station or find protection. As she walked back toward the docking bays, Nari felt something she had never felt before. Not fear, but excitement. For the first time in her life, she was truly being hunted. And she was discovering that she liked the challenge. Her professors had taught her about human evolution, how her species had survived by being smarter, more adaptable, and more persistent than their predators. Now she would find out if those lessons were true. The Vorthok thought they were hunting prey. They were about to learn the difference between a victim and a survivor. Nari woke up in darkness. Her head hurt and her mouth tasted like metal. She tried to move, but her hands were tied behind her back. Slowly, her eyes got used to the dim light. She was in a small metal cage, barely big enough for her to sit up. Straight around her were other cages with different creatures inside. Some looked like the aliens she had seen on the trade station. Others were completely strange to her. Few were clearly animals, but most seemed intelligent. They all had one thing in common. They looked scared. "You are awake," said a voice from the cage next to hers. Nari turned her head. The speaker was a thin blue creature with large eyes and 4 arms. Skin had patterns that changed color slowly. "Where are we?" Nari asked. "Keth Prime," the creature replied. "The arena world. I am Gino. I was a teacher on my home planet before they took me. I'm Nari. What's an arena world?" Gino's skin turned darker. "K. A place where beings fight and die for entertainment. K. The whole planet exists for blood sports. We are going to the Grand Coliseum." Nari felt cold despite the warm air. "How long?" "Was I unconscious?" 3 days. The Vorthok who brought you said you were a rare prize. A human from the new species. K. They seemed very excited about that. Through the bars of her cage, Nari could see a small window. Outside was a red sky and strange buildings that looked like they were made from black stone. Everything had sharp edges and looked designed to make people afraid. "Have you been here before?" she asked Gino. "No, but I have heard stories. Keth Prime has been the center of galactic blood sports for 1,000 years. The richest and most powerful beings come here to watch others die. The bigger and more dangerous the fight, the more they pay." A door opened at the far end of the room. Heavy footsteps approached. Hari saw a creature that was even bigger than the Vorthok. It had 4 arms, gray skin covered in scars, and teeth like broken glass. This had to be someone important. "I am Culver," the creature announced. "I am the arena master of the Grand Coliseum. You are my property now." He stopped in front of Nari's cage and looked at her closely. His eyes were completely black. "So this is a human," he said. "Smaller than I expected. How disappointing." "I'm not property," Nari said. "My species has laws about slavery." Culver laughed. The sound made her skin crawl. "Your species is new to the galaxy. You have no power here. No one will come looking for one small human." He turned to walk away, then stopped. "But you are lucky. I have something special planned for you. Something that will make the crowd very happy." After he left, Gino moved closer to the bars between their cages. Arena masters only visit personally when they have big plans. This is not good. Over the next 2 days, Nari learned more about Keth Prime from the other prisoners. The planet had only one real city built around the Grand Coliseum. The arena could hold 500,000 spectators. Fights happened every day, but the big events happened once a month. She also learned about the different types of fights. Some were between intelligent beings, like gladiators. Others were between dangerous animals. The most popular were the exhibition matches, where unusual creatures fought against multiple opponents. They liked to see new things die in creative ways, explained another prisoner. A rock-like being called Minho. The stranger, the creature, the more creative, the death. On the 3rd day, guards came to take measurements of all the prisoners. When they reached Nari, they seemed confused by her size and shape. "Human armor will be difficult," one guard said to another. "She is built differently than other species. Just give her something that fits," the second guard replied. "She will. Not needed for long anyway." That afternoon, Culver returned with several other important-looking aliens. They stood in front of Nari's cage and talked in low voices. "The betting odds are already incredible," one of them said. "Some refuse to bet on a human lasting more than 5 seconds. "What about 10 seconds?" another asked. "The odds are 50 to 1 against," Culver replied. "No one believes a human can survive that long against what we have planned." After they left, Nari asked Gino what they had been talking about. "Betting," Gino said sadly. "The audience bets on how long fighters will survive. Very short odds mean they expect you to die quickly." "What exactly am I supposed to fight?" "I do not know yet, but from what they said, it will be something terrible." The next morning, guards brought a small screen to show the prisoners something. K was an advertisement for the upcoming arena event. Nari saw her own face on the screen, taken from security cameras on the trade station. The narrator spoke in galactic standard, which Nari had learned in school. For the first time in arena history, witness a human in combat. This new species will face the greatest challenge ever created. 5 apex predators. 1 small human. Who will survive? The screen showed images of 5 different creatures. Each one looked like it had been designed by nightmares. The first was called Razorclaw. It looked like a giant insect with blade-sharp arms and legs. Its shell was black and shiny like metal. The second was Venom Spitter. It was shaped like a snake, but as thick as a tree trunk. Its fangs dripped with acid that burned holes in the ground. The third was Bone Crusher. It looked like a cross between a rhinoceros and a tank. Its jaw could apparently bite through solid steel. The fourth was Shadowhunter. The screen showed empty air. Then suddenly, a creature appeared like magic. It could become invisible and had claws like razors. The fifth was Flamewing. It looked like a dragon from Earth Legends, but covered in real fire instead of scales. The Apex Exhibition, the narrator continued. 5 of the galaxy's most dangerous predators against 1 human female. Witness the fastest execution in arena history. The other prisoners looked at Nari with pity. Gino's skin had turned completely black. "I am sorry," he whispered. "No one has ever survived even one of those creatures." But Nari was not listening to the pity. She was studying the screen carefully, watching how each creature moved. She saw how Razorclaw attacked with its arms first. Venom Spitter had to rear back before striking. How Bone Crusher charged in straight lines. How Shadowhunter became visible just before attacking. How Flamewing had to open its mouth wide to breathe fire. "They all have patterns," she said quietly. "What?" Gino asked. "Every predator has a pattern. A way it hunts, a way it kills." Nari smiled for the first time since being captured. "Means they have weaknesses too. You cannot be serious. These are apex predators, the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. On their home worlds, maybe," Nari said. "But I'm not from their home worlds. I'm from Earth." She continued watching the screen, memorizing every detail. Each creature was perfectly designed for killing in specific ways. They were specialists, evolved for particular types of hunting. But humans were different. Humans were generalists. They had survived on Earth, not by being the strongest or fastest or most poisonous. They had survived by being smart, adaptable, and persistent. For the first time since her capture, Nari felt something other than fear. She felt curious. She wanted to see if everything she had learned about human evolution was really true. The arena masters thought they were putting on an execution. They were about to get an education instead. The morning of the fight, Nari was given a small meal and a cup of water. Her hands shook as she ate, but not from fear. She had not slept well, but her mind was sharp and focused. She had spent the night going over everything she knew about the 5 predators. Guards came to her cage with armor and weapons. The armor was too big and did not fit her properly. It was made for larger aliens and hung loose on her small frame. The weapon was a short blade with a dull edge. It looked more like a toy than something meant for real fighting. "This is what we have for humans," one guard said. "First time we needed human-sized equipment." "It will not matter," the other guard replied. "She will not live long enough to use it." They led her through long corridors filled with the sounds of the crowd above. Thousands of voices created a noise like ocean waves. The ground shook with their excitement. "Scared? Human?" one guard asked. "Just thinking," Nari replied. They brought her to a waiting area beneath the arena floor. Through metal bars, she could see the sandy fighting ground above. It was huge, bigger than a football field. The walls were 30 feet high, with no way to climb them. The crowd filled every seat, a sea of alien faces, all looking down at the arena floor. Arena Master Culver appeared with several assistants. He looked at Nari and shook his head. "The crowd is disappointed," he said. "Okay, they expected something more. Impressive. You look like a child playing dress-up." "Sometimes looks can be misleading," Nari said. Culver laughed. "We shall see. The betting is complete. Final odds are 100 to 1 against you, lasting 10 seconds. Most bets are on you dying in the first 5 seconds." An assistant whispered something to Culver. His expression changed to one of surprise. "Interesting," he said. "Someone has placed a very large bet on you surviving the full fight. Either they know something we do not, or they have more money than sense." The crowd noise grew louder. Announcements began in different alien languages. Nari heard her name mentioned several times, along with words she did not understand. "Time to go," Culver said. "Try to make it entertaining before you die." The gate opened and bright light hit Nari's eyes. She stepped onto the arena sand and the crowd roared. The noise was overwhelming. 500,000 beings screaming and cheering for her death. She walked to the center of the arena. The sand was hot under her feet and smelled like old blood. Above her, the crowd filled every level of seating. Some aliens were so strange she could not tell what they were. Others looked almost human, but with wrong proportions or colors. A voice boomed across the arena in galactic standard. "Citizens of the galaxy, welcome to the Apex exhibition. Today, we witness something never seen before. A human, the newest species to join galactic civilization, faces 5 of our most deadly predators." The crowd cheered louder. Kia could see aliens pointing at her and laughing. Some were already celebrating, thinking the show was over before it began. In the red corner, our challenger, Nari of Earth, 22 years old, weighing 98 pounds, armed with basic armor and a training blade. More laughter from the crowd. Signs appeared showing betting odds. The numbers kept getting higher against her survival. In the blue corner, our champions. 5 apex predators from across the galaxy, each one capable of destroying entire hunting parties. Together, they represent the ultimate test of survival. 5 gates opened around the arena. The crowd fell silent as the predators emerged. Razorclaw came out first. It was even bigger than in the videos, 12 feet tall, with arms like sword blades. Its black shell reflected the arena lights. It moved with the precision of a machine designed for killing. Venom Spitter slithered out next. Its body was thick as a tree and 30 feet long. Its acid dripped from its fangs and burned holes in the sand. Its eyes were bright yellow and focused on Nari. Bone Crusher charged through its gate like a living tank. The ground shook under its weight. Its jaws opened and closed with sounds like breaking stone. Its hide was thick as armor plating. Shadow Hunter was harder to see. It appeared and disappeared like smoke, never staying visible for more than a second. When it did appear, Nari could see claws longer than her fingers. Flamewing landed in the center of the arena with a sound like thunder. Fire leaked from between its teeth. Its wings spread wide enough to cast shadows over half the arena floor. The crowd exploded with cheers. This was what they had come to see. 5 perfect killing machines against 1 small human. "Let the exhibition begin," the announcer called. A horn sounded. The fight started. The predators did exactly what Nari expected. They spread out to surround her, each one moving to its preferred attack position. This was their first mistake. They were thinking like individual hunters instead of a pack. Nari did something none of them expected. Instead of running to the walls or trying to hide, she ran toward the center of the arena. This forced all 5 predators to approach her from predictable angles. The crowd thought she had frozen with fear. They were wrong. Razorclaw attacked first, raised both blade arms above its head for its signature killing strike. Nari had watched this exact move 20 times in the videos. She knew exactly where the creature would strike and how long it would take. As the blades came down, Nari rolled forward between Razor Claw's legs. The Keech was built for slicing attacks from above. It could not bend its arms backward. Came up behind it and drove her blade into the soft joint where its head met its body. The blade found the main nerve cluster. Razor Claw dropped like a broken machine. 3 seconds had passed. The crowd went completely silent. Venom Spitter struck next. It reared back to build pressure for its acid spit, just like in the videos. This gave Nari 2 full seconds to prepare. She grabbed Razor Claw's body and used it as a launching platform. Jumping onto the snake's back just behind its head, Venom Spitter tried to bite her, but could not turn its head far enough. Nari cut through the venom sacs in its throat. The creature's own acid burned through its neck from the inside. It collapsed, choking on its own poison. 7 seconds total. Bone Crusher charged with all his weight behind the attack. It moved in a straight line because that was how its body was designed. Nari waited until the last possible moment, then dropped and slid on her back under the creature's jaw as it passed over her. She pushed her blade up through the soft tissue under its chin. The blade penetrated into the brain. Bone Crusher's own momentum did most of the work. The massive creature crashed into the arena wall, dead. 11 seconds. Shadowhunter and Flamewing attacked together. This should have been impossible to counter. But Nari had noticed something in the videos. Flamewing always opened its mouth wide before breathing fire, and Shadowhunter always became visible just before striking. As Flamewing opened its mouth, Nari grabbed one of Venom Spitter's remaining acid sacs. She threw it directly into the dragon's throat just as it began to breathe fire. The acid mixed with the fire-producing chemicals in Flamewing's throat. The creature exploded from the inside, showering the arena with burning fragments. Shadowhunter became visible to attack, but the explosion had revealed its position through the displaced sand around its feet. Nari was already moving toward that spot. Her blade found the creature's heart before it could strike. 18 seconds total. Nari stood alone in the center of the arena. 5 apex predators lay dead around her. She was breathing hard, but not exhausted. Her armor was torn, and she had small cuts on her arms, but she was alive. The arena was completely silent. 500,000 beings sat in stunned disbelief. Then one alien in the crowd began to clap. Then another. Within seconds, the entire arena erupted in the loudest cheer in its 1,000-year history. Nari looked up at the crowd and smiled. She had just taught the galaxy something important about humans. They would not prey. They were something much more dangerous. The arena stayed silent for a full minute after the cheering stopped. 500,000 beings stared down at the small human standing among 5 dead predators. Many had never seen anything like this in their entire lives. Emperor Dewan of the Keth Dominion sat in the royal viewing box. He was a massive creature with purple skin and golden eyes. His claws gripped the arms of his throne so hard they left marks in the metal. "Explain this," he said to Arena Master Culver. "Explain how one small human killed 5 apex predators in 18 seconds. Culver's 4 arms shook with fear. "I do not know, Your Majesty. This should have been impossible. Those predators have killed hundreds of fighters over the years. It's impossible. Things do not happen in my arena," Emperor Dewan growled. "Either you are lying or you are incompetent." In the VIP section, alien nobles whispered among themselves. Some had lost enormous amounts of money on the betting. Others had won fortunes by betting on the human. But all of them wanted answers. "A brink. Her up here," Emperor Dewan commanded. "I want to hear from the human herself." Down in the arena, Nari was examining the bodies of the fallen predators. She wanted to understand exactly how her attacks had worked. The blade had cut through Razorclaw's nerve cluster cleanly. Venomspitter's acid sacs had been positioned exactly where she remembered from her studies. Guards surrounded her, but kept their distance. They had weapons, but seemed afraid to get too close. Word of what she had done was already spreading through the arena staff. "Human," one guard called out. "Emperor Daewon wants to see you." Nari looked up at the royal box. She could see the massive purple figure on his throne. Around him sat dozens of other powerful aliens, all staring down at her. "I'll come," she said. They led her through corridors she had not seen before. These were decorated with expensive art and precious metals. The floors were made of polished stone that reflected the ceiling lights. This was where the important people stayed during arena events. The royal box was larger than some buildings. The ceiling was painted with scenes of pre-scenes, famous arena battles. Comfortable chairs were arranged in rows, all facing the arena. At the center sat Emperor Daewon on his golden throne. Nari was brought to stand before him. Even sitting down, he was taller than she was. His golden eyes studied her carefully. "So," he said in a voice like distant thunder, "you are the human who has caused so much trouble in my arena." "I was just defending myself, Your Majesty," Nari replied. "Defending yourself," Emperor Daewon repeated, "by killing 5 creatures that have never been defeated in combat. Do you expect me to believe this was luck?" "No, Your Majesty, it was not luck." The Emperor leaned forward, then explained. "My arena masters tell me this was impossible. My advisors say humans are weak newcomers to the galaxy. Yet here you stand, and 5 apex predators are dead." "How?" Nari looked around the room. Every alien face was focused on her. Some looked angry. Others looked curious. A few looked afraid. "May I use the arena's communication system?" she asked. "Why?" "Because the answer is not just for you, Your Majesty. It is for everyone who saw what happened today. The whole galaxy needs to understand." Emperor Daewon considered this. "Very well, but if you waste my time with lies, you will join those predators in death." "I understand, Your Majesty." Technician activated the arena speakers. Nari's voice would now reach every being in the Colosseum and be broadcast to millions more across the galaxy. "My name is Nari," she began. "I am a human from the planet Earth. What you saw today was not magic or luck. It was evolution." Crowd murmured. Many had never heard a human speak before. Every species in this galaxy evolved to fill a specific role in their environment. Some became predators, others became prey. Each species developed special abilities to help them survive. Nari pointed to where Razorclaw's body lay in the arena below. Razorclaw evolved on a world where prey animals were slow and could not fight. Back, its blade arms are perfect for cutting down helpless creatures. But it never learned to fight anything that could think and adapt. She pointed to the next body. Venomspitter evolved to kill with poison from a distance. Its whole body is designed for this one type of attack. When that attack fails, it has no other options. The crowd was listening carefully now. Even Emperor Daewon seemed interested. Bone Crusher evolved to charge and crush. Its body is like a living tank. But tanks can only move in straight lines. They cannot adapt when their target moves unpredictably. Nari continued, explaining each predator's strengths and weaknesses. How Shadowhunter relied too much on surprise attacks. Flamewing's fire-breathing required specific body positions that made it vulnerable. Each of these creatures is perfectly designed for its home world, she said. They are specialists. The best possible predators for their specific environments. Can humans? Emperor Daewon asked. What are humans specialized for? Nari smiled. Nothing, Your Majesty. And everything. The crowd looked confused. Humans evolved on a world where everything was trying to kill us. We were not the strongest. We were not the fastest. We were not the most poisonous, had no natural weapons like claws or fangs. She held up her small hands. But we had something else. We had intelligence, and we had the ability to adapt to any situation. Ari began to pace, warming to her subject. On Earth, humans survived by learning to hunt creatures much larger and more dangerous than themselves. We learned to use tools. We learned to work together. Most importantly, we learned to study our enemies and find their weaknesses. You mean humans are persistence hunters? Said a voice from the crowd. It was an alien scientist who had studied Earth briefly. Yes, Nari said, but we are more than that. We are generalist predators. We can adapt to hunt anything, anywhere, under any conditions. Emperor Dewan stood up from his throne. Are you saying humans are superior to all other species? Your Majesty, I am saying we are different. Every other species in the galaxy evolved to be perfect at one thing. Humans evolved to be good enough at everything. She gestured to the arena below. Those 5 predators would have easily killed me on their home worlds, where they understand every variable. But here, in a new environment, they could only use their specialized abilities. They could not adapt when their attacks failed, and you could adapt, Emperor Dewan said. I had to. Adaptation is what humans do. It is what we have always done. When we face something stronger than us, we find a way around it. When we face something faster than us, we outsmart it. When we face something more dangerous than us, we learn its weaknesses and turn them against it. The arena was completely quiet now. Nara's words were being recorded and broadcast across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, alien civilizations were hearing this explanation of human nature for the first time. So you see, Nari continued, what happened today was not impossible. It was inevitable. You put 5 specialized predators against a generalist predator. The specialists were perfect at what they did, but the generalist could do what they could not. And what is that? Emperor Dewan asked. Change, Nari said simply. Adapt, overcome. The emperor sat back down on his throne. His golden eyes were thoughtful. You have given me much to consider, human. But tell me this, if humans are such dangerous predators, why do you seem so peaceful? Why do you not conquer and destroy like other apex species? Nari looked up at him steadily. 'Cause the most dangerous predators are the ones who do not need to prove it, Your Majesty. We only fight when we have to. But when we do fight, we fight to win. The emperor nodded slowly. Around the arena, the implications of her words were sinking in. The galaxy had welcomed humanity as weak newcomers. They were beginning to realize they might have made a mistake, a very dangerous mistake. 3 hours after Nari's victory, the news reached Earth's solar system. Captain Park Ji-hoon was drinking coffee on the bridge of the research vessel Prometheus when the communication officer called out, Captain, we are receiving an emergency broadcast from the Keth system. It mentions our missing crew member, Nari. Captain Ji-hoon set down his coffee cup. Put it on the main screen. The bridge filled with the sounds of an alien arena crowd. On screen, they could see a small human figure standing among dead predators. The voice speaking was clearly Neris, explaining human evolution to a galaxy that had never heard such ideas before. That is definitely our xenobiologist, said Dr. Kim So-min, the ship's head researcher. But what is she doing in an arena? Being impressive, Captain Ji-hoon said grimly. Navigation set course for Keth Prime, maximum speed, so that will take us 12 days at best. Then we better hurry. Something tells me the galaxy just became a very different place. Across the galaxy, the broadcast was reaching millions of worlds. In the capital city of the Galactic Council, emergency sessions were being called. 3 major alien empires that had been discussing human territories suddenly found themselves reconsidering their plans. Admiral Yuki of the Hegemony Fleet, K, watched the broadcast 3 times before calling his strategic advisors. How many humans are there? He asked. Latest reports say about 12 billion on their home world, his aide replied. Plus, maybe 1 million scattered across colonies and trade stations, and their military capabilities. Limited, sir. They only have basic defensive fleets, no major weapon systems that we know of. Admiral Yuki watched Nari defeat the 5 predators again. Change our invasion timeline. I want a full analysis of human combat potential before we make any moves toward Earth. On Keth Prime, Emperor Daewon was having similar thoughts. He had dismissed the human after her speech, but her words kept echoing in his mind. If one untrained human could do this, what could trained human soldiers accomplish? He called his intelligence chief. I want everything we know about human military organization. Also, find out how many humans are currently traveling through our territory. Your Majesty, there are currently 43 humans on various stations and ships in our space. Most are researchers, traders, or tourists. Send protective escorts to all of them immediately, and make it clear they are honored guests, not prisoners. If what that human said is true, we do not want to anger her species. Snari herself was being held in comfortable quarters in the Imperial Palace. She had been given clean clothes, good food, and medical attention for her minor injuries. But she was still a prisoner, even if the bars on her cell were now made of gold instead of steel. A servant brought her dinner and the latest news reports. The arena fight was being discussed on every major news network in the galaxy. Experts were analyzing the footage frame by frame. Scientists were requesting information about human evolution and biology. Most importantly, several governments were quietly changing their policies toward humanity. The Vorthok Confederation has announced new friendship treaties with Earth. The news anchor reported. This comes just hours after one of their citizens was defeated in arena combat by a human female. Nari almost choked on her food. The same species that had kidnapped her was now offering friendship to her world. The irony was not lost on her. 2 days later, Captain Ji-hoon and the Prometheus arrived at Keth Prime. They had pushed the ship's engines beyond safe limits to get there quickly. The crew was exhausted, but determined. This is Captain Park Ji-hoon of the Earth vessel Prometheus. He broadcast to Keth Prime Traffic Control. We are here to retrieve our crew member, Keat, came the reply. You are expected, Emperor. Daewon wishes to speak with you personally. The Prometheus was escorted to the Imperial docking station, not the public ports where most visitors went. Captain Ji-hoon and Dr. Selman were met by a full honor guard and taken directly to the palace. Emperor Daewon received them in his private meeting hall, not the formal throne room. This was a sign of respect among Keth nobility. Captain Ji-hoon, the Emperor said, your crew member has taught us much about humanity. She is remarkable. She is a scientist, Your Majesty, not a warrior. What happened in your arena should not have been necessary. You are correct. The circumstances were unfortunate, but the results have been educational for all of us. Dr. Salmon spoke up. Your Majesty, we understand Nari was taken by slavers. We hope this does not represent your governance policy toward humans. It does not, Emperor Daewon said firmly. The Vorthok who took her were acting illegally. They have been punished. Your crew member will be returned to you with our apologies and compensation for her suffering. We appreciate that, Your Majesty. Emperor Daewon stood and walked to a large window overlooking the city. But I must ask you something, Captain. Your crew member spoke of human nature, of adaptation and persistence. Is what she said accurate? Captain Ji-hoon considered his words carefully. Nari is a xenobiologist, Your Majesty. She understands evolution better than most humans, If she said something about our nature, it was probably scientifically accurate. Then I must ask another question. Does Earth intend to become a military power in this galaxy? Earth wants peaceful trade and scientific exchange, Your Majesty. We have no interest in conquest or empire building. But if you were threatened, Captain Jihoon met the Emperor's golden eyes. Then we would defend ourselves, Your Majesty, as any species would. Emperor Daewon nodded. I believe you, Captain, but others may not be so trusting. Your crew members' demonstration has made some governments nervous about human capabilities. An hour later, Nari was brought to the meeting hall. She hugged Captain Jihoon and Dr. Salmon, grateful to see familiar faces. Are you hurt? Dr. Salmon asked, examining her like a worried mother. Just some cuts and bruises. Nothing serious. You did in that arena, Captain Jihoon said quietly. The whole galaxy saw it. Everything has changed. I know. Mice, I can see it in how they treat me now. Yesterday, I was a curiosity. Today, they look at me like I might explode. Emperor Daewon approached them. Human Nari, you are free to go with your people. But before you leave, I want you to know something. What happened here will be remembered for 1,000 years. You have changed how the galaxy sees your species. I hope it is a change for the better, Your Majesty. That remains to be seen. The Prometheus left Cath Prime 6 hours later, as they traveled back toward human space. Reports continued to arrive about galactic reactions to the arena fight. The hegemony had postponed all military actions near human territory. The Vorthok Confederation was requesting formal diplomatic relations with Earth. 12 smaller governments had offered trade agreements, but there were also troubling reports. Some extremist groups were calling for preemptive strikes against humanity before they became too powerful. Others wanted to capture humans for study or breeding programs. The galaxy is scared, Dr. Soman observed as she read the reports. They should be, Nari said quietly. Captain Jihoon looked at her. Do you really believe what you told them about humans being persistent predators? Nari stared out at the stars. I believe humans are survivors, Captain. We survived ice ages, and plagues, and wars, and everything else Earth could throw at us. We will survive the galaxy too. 3 weeks later, Earth Command received new orders from the Colonial Council. Humanity's exploration and research phase was officially over. The galaxy had learned what humans were capable of. Now it was time to take their place among the stars, not as prey, not as newcomers, but as what they had always been, the galaxy's newest apex predators. The message was simple and direct. Humanity would continue to seek peaceful relations with all species. They would honor existing treaties and respect alien sovereignty, but they would also be ready, because the galaxy had learned something important from watching a small, human girl defeat 5 apex predators in 18 seconds. Humans were not going to be victims, and that changed everything.